Hey, all my Capricorns, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today with your March 2025 monthly horoscope. These horoscopes are based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I'm talking about Capricorn, I'm referring to Capricorn rising as the first house and dictating the landscape of the chart. This is also applicable to Capricorn sun and Capricorn moon, but the chart structure will be different. The house structure will be different. When I talk about a day and a time, it's based on the Pacific time zone, so please adjust for your location. March is the beginning of eclipse season. We are going to see Mercury and Venus retrograde from Aries into Pisces. They're traveling together. I've done a separate video on that. You'll find the link to it at the end of this video. I suggest that you watch that. And Neptune is going to move into Aries for the first time in 164 to 165 years, the last time being about 1862. So this is going to be a significant shift. Also, the energies that we're feeling now and the eclipses that we will experience this month are teeing up opportunities later in the year. And we will also feel the conjunction between Neptune and Saturn as Saturn catches up with Neptune, joins it in Aries later, early summer, around early summer, early midsummer. And then they're going to retrograde back into Pisces. So all of this is super powerful. We're going to start to feel almost as if time is accelerated. We're going from the outer planets, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune being in earth and water for quite some time. Now we're moving into air and fire. You are already feeling this as Pluto's moved into your second house of Aquarius. Uranus will move into Gemini in June. I believe it's June. Might be a little later in the year. We'll get to that then. And then we, of course, are experiencing Neptune moving into passionate Aries. Let's pull up the chart. All right, so here we see this configuration of planets really at the very, base of the Capricorn chart, which means that there is a strong focus in the month of May about how you think, about how you experienced your home life, how you experienced your early childhood, and how that is either accelerated and supported the things that you want, or maybe in some ways inhibited it. You have experienced Pluto transiting through your first house for, over 15 years, about 15 years, I think it is. I didn't check that particularly, but now it's moved into your second house, a house that is on a money axis. And I think that this is an opportunity to really revisit your skills, revisit your sense of duty and obligation, and maybe even to personalize it a bit. When I look at the Aquarius energy, it's similar to the Aries energy, and it's very individualistic. It is so individualistic that sometimes it feels exiled by the group or the crowd or the norm. And so while you oftentimes have, been a leader of the norm, now is a time to revolutionize what your norm is. So here we start this month. Venus is stationed. She's going to go retrograde on the 2nd. So here she is at that Capricorn degree in the 4th house of home. So she's really thinking about, angers, resentments, how she was treated as far as her self-worth. Was she nurtured in a way of feeling confident, or in some ways was her individuality and her uniqueness not celebrated? It really depends on your personal chart. Right now, we can see that there is a bit of a square to this energy. We're seeing a square actually to Chiron from Mars. And Chiron is again in the house of home, but the home is overlaid with a sense of individuality. Oftentimes we'll see that Capricorn comes from a military family when we see Aries in the 4th house, or a family of heroes. So I don't know if that's necessarily true, depends on who you are. I'm going to move to the 3rd now, where we will see Mercury enter your fourth house of Aries, and Venus has started her retrograde. Mercury will move forward, ultimately retrograding around the 15th, and then they're going to be traveling together within 3 to 4 degrees for the rest of the retrograde. So it's really going to be about my thoughts, how my speech supports what it is that I experience. And this is an awareness of that. There could also be an awareness of history and how your history has shaped your language. And you may be starting to shift that. The 0 degree of Aries is the most powerful co-creation degree because it's literally the degree that the soul inhabits the physical experience and starts to discover itself as it goes through these first technically 5 houses of the zodiac before it births itself into the 6th house of service and work. So you're going to see Mercury having a lot of thoughts about, how I was received as a child, and Venus is supporting those thoughts by wanting to really extract her skills, create more money, create more individuality, create more ease and flow for herself. On the 11th, we will see that while Mercury is still direct, it has come into an exact conjunction with Venus. And this is at that scorpionic degree. So there could be something that comes up, potentially a revisit of the feminine energy in your life. And it's not just about females, it's about how you receive, how you can manifest through actually allowing things to come to you versus the Aries energy of pushing and forcing out. Technically, Venus is in detriment in Aries, where she feels very uncomfortable and unappreciated. And yet at the same time, here we are in 2025, and I think Venus is representing something very different. And while she represents the feminine, I think she represents the feminine empowered here in Aries as she recognizes her own skills, her ability to be strong, her ability to be her own hero. And I think that's part of the conversation as she retrogrades back and then ultimately goes into her exaltation in your 3rd house. On the 12th, we will see Saturn and the Sun in an exact conjunction. But I'm going to go to the 13th where we have our first eclipse. And this is happening at 11:54 p.m. And it's on the new axis, nodal axis. So this is a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, conjunct the south node and opposing Saturn and the Sun and the north node as well. But Saturn is the key player here because Saturn and the Sun have come together to illuminate history, to illuminate restriction, to illuminate where the emotional body has not been satisfied, has not been allowed to dream, has not been allowed to potentially feel the expansion of the transcendence of the physical experience into the soul's vibration of ultimate knowing that we are creators and capable of so much. So I think your emotional body is going to get lit up. I think it's going to have something to do with how you have traditionally been of service, how your beliefs have potentially been, I have to do this, I need to do this, I should do this. If I'm a good person, I will do this, I will be this. And I think that's really, I think that's super important because the recognition of that potential belief system could illuminate where there have been places that you don't actually feel like you expand. The 9th house is expansive. It's a house of business as well. It's a house of publishing and branding and writing and teaching. It's also a house of beliefs. It's a house of religion. It's a house of justice. So, and not to mention foreign travel, foreign people. I mean, everyone says that. That's why sometimes I don't bring it up. But I think it's important to recognize during this eclipse that something is illuminating something for you. And I don't think it's meant to necessarily revisit it long term as much as it's an opportunity to transform it, which is evidenced by the retrograde because now we have Mercury stationed at 9 degrees of Aries. This is that 9th house reference of my thoughts expanding, Sagittarian thoughts. 9th degree is Sagittarius. So here we're starting to try to expand our thoughts and start to extract wisdom from anything that was disruptive, any old resentments, any old angers, any old stories that diminish the self. Okay, and again, I'm going to do separate videos on the eclipses and go into a little bit more detail, so check for that a little later in the month. I'm going to go back to 12 p.m. and we're going to move to the 15th, where we see that Mercury has now gone retrograde. And again, Mercury is retrograding in your house of home, but it's not just home and hearth and the mother. It's also about nurturing. It's about intuition. And I think Aries is actually a very intuitive sign, because when you are standing in that heroic energy, when you're standing in the midst of a war zone, you really can't stop and process things. You sort of have to trust your instincts and go with your gut. So there could be a revisiting of that energy as well, because Capricorn can very much bring up fear and restriction, and again, duty and obligation. And we just saw in the eclipse that your ruling planet was part of the illumination. There's some sort of something has been revealed, and in that revelation, there are new opportunities. On the 19th, we will see the Sun conjunct Neptune, and then on the 20th, it will move into Aries. On the 22nd, the Sun will be conjunct Venus at 2 degrees of Aries. And often they say the Sun, when it's conjunct a planet, it combusts it. It literally outshines it, and the planet feels almost invisible. I tend to think that because Mercury and Venus don't have any moons and they travel the closest to the Sun, this is to me a conjunction of either do I have too much ego or do I not have enough ego? You know, I keep thinking of the ego as edging God out or being excited about God's opportunities. It's a new acronym I've come up with. And I think that's part of what the retrograde is. Again, Venus referring to her money, her skills, her talent. We could throw partnerships in there, but because she's retrograding in the individualistic sign of Aries and the invisible sign of Pisces, I think this is really more about revisiting where you can broaden yourself and feel a little bit of spotlight. And I think that's part of Capricorn putting that spotlight on themselves, making themselves a priority. Now we're going to see on the 24th, the Sun will have the same kind of conversation with Mercury, when only at 4 degrees. So here again, I think this is really a very strong ego conversation, because the ego is the part of the human experience that gives us the chutzpah to pursue something. It's also the minute we start to pursue it, it's the thing that will tell us we cannot achieve it. So our perception of our ego is so important. And that's why I've started to call it excited about God's opportunities. So here, this 4th degree of Aries, it could very well be, 4th is the Cancerian degree. We're looking at the 4th house. There could be there could be something that comes up with a sibling. We also see Venus is about to retrograde onto the world axis once again, and soon enough, Mercury will follow. And then as they move forward again, so there's going to be a dance around this, all about co-creation, all about a willingness to connect with spirit. That's my Pisces energy, to understand my be energy, which is what is my being energy, my belief, my disposition, my attitude when I endeavor something. Because if it's a have to, a should, a need, it's not the right vibration for true fulfillment. Yes, it can get the job done, but can it feel the excitement and the gratitude of having the job in the first place? That's what this is all about. And it's also what Saturn, your ruling planet, wants to extract from its journey through Pisces, is a strong foundation of connection with my soul within and the divinity that watches over me as I have this human experience. It doesn't just want you to talk about God and to meditate for 15 minutes because it's good for you. Saturn wants you to know why you're doing it and to feel a certain amount of a building energy, a bridge that you're building. And that bridge is bringing you from your words to your manifestation. That's Mercury in the retrograde. All right, let's go to the 27th, where we will see Venus re-enter her exaltation. And she's happy again to be hanging out with her best friend Neptune. This will not happen again for 165 years, approximately. They're, the North Node and Neptune and Venus, not to mention even Saturn and Mercury, they won't be able to come into this configuration again because Neptune will not be in its domicile, its rulership again. So this is an important awareness and conversation. And I think the conversation is with God. It's with the God within you. It's asking your soul its true intention and what it wants, because we are teeing up a conjunction between Neptune and Saturn that's going to happen a little bit later, late spring, early summer. And that conjunction is going to be a real awareness of what has been limiting, what has been erosive, what has been toxic, where we've escaped from our leadership and our greatness. And then we're going to have an opportunity to recalibrate that into something that's more expansive and authentic to our truth. And all the awarenesses we're having right now through Venus and Mercury's retrograde are helping us tee up that for its highest vibration. Okay, and then we have our new moon solar eclipse on the 29th. This is happening at 3:58 a.m. And again, I'm going to be doing a separate video for the eclipses, or I do them for all new moons and full moons. But here we see that while Mercury's not quite, I think, in conjunction with the new moon, it is still in the house, and it's in the house on this very pivotal 0-degree axis retrograde, revisiting what I have created. And am I creating it as a result of a desire, a passion, a sense of a soul's yearning, or am I creating things because I feel a sense of duty to it? Whatever you are planting the seeds for during the darkest phase of the moon, where the receptive energy of the moon and the action-oriented energy of the sun come together. And I think for my Capricorns, this is a replanting of your ego, really revisiting your belief system about what is you being of service to others, what is being a leader. And part of that could be the retrograde back into your third house and allowing you to start to really adopt on a daily basis a communication, thoughts that align you to a bigger truth, so that when you are in your Saturnian energy of duty and obligation and endurance, you know why you're doing that. Yeah, that's ultimately Saturn's purpose through Pisces right now, is to create a strong sense of connection with spirit, but not because somebody told you that God's going to punish you at the end of your life, because you have chosen that as the truth of what you know to be your soul. So it's really a revisiting and a planting of a seed for something that is authentic to me and nurturing to me and trusting of my own intuitive communications. And there could be the planting of the seeds for some mundane experience where you pioneer into a new energy in your home life or regarding your actual country of origin as well. All right, let's go now to the 30th, where we see Neptune tip its toe into Aries. Again, we're going to see a retrograde later in the year, but Neptune is going to sit at this 0 degree for quite some time. And, here we have the planet that rules the ocean moving into this, adventurous, it's kind of like a pirate's life. I kind of think, warriors on the seas. And yet at the same time, this could be the peaceful warrior that understands the ebb and the flow of the ocean tides and how to follow the stars in order to find the safest route through these emotional waters. As Neptune moves into Aries, it's going to very much, I think it's a polarizing dynamic, because some people may want to escape and even find a sense of righteousness within anger, within, like almost like a spiritual anger or a judginess. And then other people will understand that the dark spots make the color pop in their lives. So we also see at this time that Mercury is at 29 degrees, Venus is at 28, and the North Node is at 27 degrees. I think that this is something that's like sequential, something that's saying, okay, what am I paying attention to? The 28 and the 29 both reduce down to ones, either a 1 or an 11, and then the 27th degree is the Gemini degree. This is really revisiting the consistency of my thoughts, how my thoughts are things, and how my thoughts become things and manifest on the planet. And as Pluto moves deeper and deeper into Aquarius, for everyone, this will become the norm. This will become what people are like, I know this to be true. So poverty, lack will be a co-creation, and people will become aware of it. Let me just stop my share now. Again, I just want to emphasize that this retrograde between Mercury and Venus and what we're experiencing through the eclipses and the potentials the eclipses offer in March are really teeing up for me the Saturn and Neptune conjunction at that very pivotal early degrees of Aries, where we are literally co-creating something, but from a spiritual, brave point of view, and with the tenacity and the endurance that Saturn offers to really extract the spiritual rewards that we have been, I hate to use the term, but I'm going to, working for. I like to use the word awareness because work seems very difficult, but humans are used to work. All right, that's it for me, my Capricorns. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy your March. Please join me Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific time, where I do tarot card readings and I address your personal questions. You can put your question in the chat. If you decide you want to donate through Super Chat or Super Thanks, you tend to go up the line. And then join me on Sunday mornings, where we look at the transits for the week ahead, and we meet as a tribe and support each other through these transits. Please like, please subscribe, please share, and come back in April. Well, there'll be more to more stuff to talk about for sure. All right, see you soon.